Welcome to Tailboard Talk, a fourth shift fitcast. The mission of Tailboard Talk and the fourth shift fitness is to educate and train fire service personnel to increase durability and decrease the potential for injuries and their associated costs. My name is Chris Morella, owner and founder of Fourth Shift Fitness. I'll use my experience as a personal trainer, strength coach, and 15-year veteran of the fire service to deliver tips, tricks, lessons, and information specifically geared towards the health and wellness of firefighters and paramedics. Each episode, you'll leave with immediate deliverables that will improve performance and resilience and keep you in the fight through your career and into retirement. Let's get into it. What's up, crew? Thanks for coming back. Thanks for checking out Tailboard Talk, a fourth shift fitcast. Today we have a very special episode. We're doing our first interview. Before we get to that, just a little bit of housekeeping. The last episode, which was about the incentivized fitness program, it was also about Devote December and Spring for Change. It was long. It was a little bit longer, right? The first two episodes were about 20, 30 minutes. This one was right under an hour. So if you stuck with that one, thank you very much. I think I'll be splitting that one up in the future. I'm going to take the Devote December and Spring for Change parts of it and then make them their own thing as we get closer to Devote December. But if you missed it, please go back and listen. It's probably the most important one I've done so far. I know there's only been 3, but very, very important. 2 campaigns that I care a ton about, Devote December and Spring for Change. Please go check those out. Okay, today we're talking to Aaron Quinn. You can find him on Instagram at Live, Serve, Thrive, and he is the man out there in Oakland, California. He's been on for 20 years, 18 of which on his truck company as a senior member on that crew. He's also a Wim Hof instructor, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, and he is the head PT trainer for the new recruits in the drill tower. He's got a ton to talk about, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Without further ado, Aaron Quinn. All right, crew, we are here with Aaron Quinn. Like I said in the intro before this, Aaron Quinn is the man out of Oakland, California. You can find him on Instagram at Live, Serve, Thrive. And I'm just going to run down his bio real quick, then we'll get into it. He's a Wim Hof instructor, BJJ brown belt, CrossFit level 1, peer fitness trainer. He's also the senior firefighter on his crew. He's been on the truck for 18 years with Oakland for 20, and he is the head PT trainer for new recruits in the drill tower. My man, Aaron Quinn, what's going on, dude?
Not much. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. It was, I'm not sure what the weather is like out by you. We had frost on the rooftops for the last 2 days in a row here. So how's the weather out by you, man?
Well, it's California, so we're either beautiful blue skies or at this time smoke-filled skies. So,
I was gonna say it's pretty sunsets though all day long, right?
Yeah. So today's nice. Today's a nice day. The air quality's nice. There's not a lot of smoke. Hopefully, it stays that way.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. How has that impacted you guys? Maybe not from a fitness standpoint, but what can you do out there? Because you got to exist in it. You got to go on call. So what are you guys doing like day to day that's changed because of those things?
Oh, we just it's not much. We're wearing masks anyway because of coronavirus stuff. So you wear masks already, so that kind of cuts it down. But you just keep going about your day for the most part.
Brutal, man. Well, yeah, it looks like from the news those are getting better. I hope it keeps on going. So why don't you just, I gave that brief intro. Why don't you give me a little bit about yourself? We'll keep it quick because one of the guys in my department said, listen, I like your podcast. You're doing good, but stick to the meat and potatoes of this thing. Don't get too fancy. And I think that's the kind of guy you are too, just from talking to you a few times and checking out what you put on social media. So give me your down and dirty, quick little intro, and we'll kick this thing off.
Yeah, I keep it simple. I started firefighting when I was 22 years old. I grew up in the city of Oakland. Lived here my entire life, pretty much. I work here now too. My dad was a firefighter here. When I first got hired, I saw a big need for fitness, especially in the academies and the drill tower. And so when I had about 5 years in, I jumped in on that. And fitness has always been a passion of mine. And I've been doing that for 13 years. I've trained over 200 firefighters, roughly about half our department. Now I've trained in physical fitness when they come to a drill tower. And I've been in the east end of Oakland my entire career. It's about 20 years, and 18 of those years I've been mostly on the truck. We rotate positions, but the way it works out, I'm pretty much always on the truck. And I'm the senior firefighter on my crew. That's pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Sounds like a pretty cool place to work, especially with your position. You've been on the truck for 18 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. I know in the Midwest, a lot are. I think we're 80% EMS like everyone is, but it's pretty rare to have a department out here that where you can spend more than just a couple years on a piece of suppression apparatus. So 18 years in a truck. Congratulations on living the life that we all dream of.
Yeah,
Let's get into the academy thing, dude, because that's something that I'm really interested in because you've trained, like you said, hundreds of recruits at this point. You get them in their initial stages of their career. And so what I really want to get into is what are you seeing coming through your doors? And what are you seeing the first day, the first year? And you can talk about now or even compare it to when you started training these guys. What are we dealing with new recruits coming in to Oakland?
absolutely. I'll probably start a little further back. I think the biggest shift has just been the kind of person who's becoming a firefighter. In my dad's time, most people coming into the fire service either were from the military, played sports, or from the trades. And so people knew how to work, they knew how to use their bodies. It was much more of a, rough hands, blue collar type of person that came into the fire service. And when I got hired, for the most part, my academy was mostly people who were athletes and military and from the trades. But we started to have some shift towards what I call the kind of student firefighter. And now, the last academy, there was I think it was 30 people in our academy, and most of those people had never really worked in their life. They've only been students. They go to high school. We have programs here where you can become an EMT in your last semester of high school. They go right to paramedic school, and so they've never really worked. They've only ever gone to be a student. So that's a huge shift to see coming into an academy.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that works on both ends, right? Because I think we've seen that shift as well in my department, in my area. And I got to say, there's some real benefit to that shift. But like you're saying, that it's just not the same, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. But undoubtedly, it means that your approach has had to change over the years. So whereas before you might be more of like a sport coach or a not a drill sergeant per se, but you didn't feel as apprehensive about getting someone's face or motivating them. How have you changed over the past 5, 6 years? How have your tactics changed or your goals changed with the new classes coming in?
We've had to start a lot slower. We've had to kind of build up basic movement patterns, and I'm talking about basic like squats and deads, and not with weight, just very basic movement patterns. How to engage the core when you press overhead. Very very simple, what I call rudimentary movement patterns. So as opposed to kind of when I first started doing the PT, it was kind of just jump in, sink or swim. Now we kind of take them through a very slow first month, really working with a lot of prehab exercises, a lot of self care, foam rolling, stretching, active release technique, things of that nature, and then slowly building in these movement patterns, and then starting to build in more of what you would think of as a traditional kind of PT fitness program.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see how that's paramount with the kinds of new hires that we described coming in. And so, how have you done with that? Because I know your background in jujitsu, especially being a brown belt, that's more or less you get on the mat and it's literally let's play kill each other, life or death, sink or swim time. And to take that mentality and transfer it now to somebody like a white belt, essentially in firefighting, how do you span that gap? How do you change yourself to communicate with the new recruits better compared to in the past, and even take some of your jujitsu mentality and turn it into a teaching mentality with these new recruits?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first thing I tell everyone is there's there's two Aaron Quinns. There's Coach Quinn and there's Firefighter Quinn. And 90% of the time, you're gonna get Coach Quinn. And every once in a while, if you fuck up, you're gonna get Firefighter Quinn. So
Nice.
so you can kind of understand the difference. My goal is there to coach them, and same as in jiu-jitsu. Um, when you're a blue belt, or maybe even a purple belt, and a white belt comes in, and you want to feel your gusto, maybe go in there and you smash on them, right? But once you've been doing it for long enough, you realize this person's not getting anything out of it, and the only way I'm ever going to get better is to train this person and teach them, right? And so there's a certain amount of pressure or in smashing that you want to put on them. But if you put on too much, then they just kind of crumble and they don't improve. And so that's kind of the philosophy that I use with recruits. I want to put a little pressure on them, but I can't put too much on them, right? Because my goal is to produce the best possible firefighter. The cadre's goal is to figure out who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. That's not my goal. My goal is that, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to get you as fit as possible and try to keep you as healthy as possible and give you the tools that's going to make your career last 30 years. Or 30, at this point, the new people got to go 35 years, 37 years, whatever it is. They just change our retirement. So,
oh, man,
sucks for them.
Yeah.
But, that's kind of my philosophy. It's a same with jiu-jitsu. The white belt walks in and has no idea that, 11 years later, they're lucky to be a brown belt, and they'll still be looking at another 2 or 3 years before they get a black belt, like where I'm at. So right. It's a lifetime. And I try to help them understand that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect way to describe that, because we talked before. I was like a year and a half, I think, in my blue belt when coronavirus hit, and we've also talked about our return to mat strategy, and I still don't have one.
I don't have one either.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys that I work with that are looking to go back and have gone back, and I just can't bring myself to do it. There's another guy I work with who is a brown belt, and he said he's just writing it off for the next year and a half or so. He'll get back to it eventually, but no rush, no rush to get back there. So many lessons to be learned in that. And have you been able to rub off on some of your other instructors? How do you mentor your other coaches when they come in just ready to get in these guys' face, break them down, and not build them back up? How do you go about being the coach's coach?
Well, first thing is I think you talk to them and get them on the same page. At this point, pretty much every single coach, with the exception of one guy, has gone through my program. So they all know what my philosophies are and what my viewpoints are. But I make sure that we're on the same page. Make sure, hey, this is the deal. This is what we're here for. You were here to build these guys up and give them the tools they need. And if that's not what you're about, then you can go elsewhere. And there's not much debate with that. As far as what tactics and strategies we use, if you're on the same page, that's great. Let's bring some new stuff in. Let's change some stuff up. Let's add some things in there. And there's some guys, there's one of the former Marines. This guy is, he's hard charging. He's great to bring him in towards the end of the academy, right? Hey, man, you're working out with Firefighter, Hurtado, and he's going to come in. He's coming in at the back half of the academy, and you better be ready because he's about fucking business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a battalion chief, one of my classmates, and he's a marathon runner, and he loves to run. I tell him all the time, you better be ready because the chief's going to come down here and run your ass into the ground, and it's going to be an 8-mile run, and you better fucking stack up. And that's coming at the end of the academy. So, so some of it for me is understanding what this person's strong at as a coach and putting them in the right place at the right time to get the product that I want out of the recruits.
Right on, man. I mean, it sounds like you have a fantastic system out there. Listening to it, it's the kind of thing where I'm like, oh, I gotta go visit you guys when you got an academy going to see what's going on, because it sounds awesome. And then thinking about being recruiting it, I'd be like, oh God, like this sounds absolutely miserable every single day, because these guys are actually on top of it. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of wiggle room, which is perfect. And especially, we've identified some of the differences in the recruit class coming in. The more tight you guys are as a coaching core group and as a structure in general, I mean, the more comprehensive it's going to be. So you mentioned something a little bit earlier on, which is there's two parts to this, right? There's you in the training tower, and then there's another. They said the cadre, right? What's the structure of exactly what you're doing? Because I think it's a pretty foreign concept to me. We used to have an academy at my department, and then over time, because of other academies popping up and also budget constraints, we lost our academy. But can you just go quickly into what the Oakland academy, drill tower, cadre, that structure looks like?
Yeah, so the cadre they're firefighters, captains, lieutenants that are on duty normally.
Okay.
And they get, for lack of a better word, detailed down to the academy for the length of the academy.
Oh.
So they put on a 40-hour work week. And they're generally people who have done academies before or have some background in training, and they go down to the academy. They're with the academy every day. I'll say 9 to 5 for, again, we all know academies aren't 9 to 5, but we'll say 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And their whole purpose is to train them to be firefighters. So their focus is, what do you think of as a traditional cadre? They teach them hose, they teach them ladder, they teach them, extrication, wildland, roof ops, forcible entry, all the things that they're gonna face within their time as a firefighter, or what they need to know as probationary, should I say, probably better. And then for me, me and my people, we volunteer our time. There is not budget for us, so what we do is we come down, and there's 4 of us live in Oakland, so we come down on off days. We do get detailed for that hour and a half time if we're on duty, to go down there, and I work in conjunction with the cadre, kind of understanding, are you guys gonna be out in the yard all day throwing ladders? Are you gonna be, in the classroom all day? Kind of working a little bit around their schedule, telling them how things are progressing on my end, hearing if anyone's got any injuries, aches, and pains, helping those recruits, with a little extra stretching or foam rolling or active release techniques or prehab exercises, things like that, things of that nature. So we do work together. It's a coordinated attack, so to speak. But our philosophies are a little bit opposed, right? We both want to see the best possible person come out of the academy, but I'm not of the mind frame as Coach Quinn to try to, I'm not trying to push anyone out. I'm not trying to make a situation where they can't succeed, right? That's the cadre's job.
Yeah, that sounds, again, fantastic from an organizational standpoint, miserable as a recruit standpoint going through that thing. If you hear that these dudes that are going to be teaching you have been taken off shift just to teach you, I'm like, oh God, sounds like a great opportunity. And I can't imagine you're not letting many weak links slip through there, which I know is kind of a controversial thing in terms of probationary years and hiring practices and what that's supposed to be. But it sounds like you guys must produce a pretty high level first responder.
We do. I think we do a pretty good job. I think we get a lot of people that are pretty raw, and I think we do a pretty good job.
Yeah, man. So what? So let's say you're with this academy class. You go through. You're getting all your stuff done. They graduate the academy. They go on through their probationary year. What is your exposure to those same people, or through their career? Are you able to fill any kind of role for them?
Yeah, that's been a challenge. That was kind of, part of part went through the PFT program. We kind of touched on that briefly in an earlier chat, but there's no funding, so that kind of fell apart. My Instagram feed was a bunch of young guys, new kids, for lack of a better word, there, telling me, "Hey, man, you got to get on social media and start at least posting some stuff so we have something," because they were trying to fill the void as well. People call me. People call me on my cell phone. People call me at work. People stop by the firehouse, ask me questions, get some pointers here and there. A couple people will hit me up and ask for workouts. I'll show them some workouts. Ask me about supplements. Ask me about nutrition stuff. It's very informal. Unfortunately, there just isn't a lot of time and money to support what really should be supported.
Yeah, and I get that, man. That seems to be the resounding consensus from everybody I talk to is there's a ton of good ideas and a ton of willing people, but when it comes to rubber in the road time, it gets very challenging. So, it relies on people like you and your group that you're talking about who have to essentially donate their time um, to get the job done. And I know even that carries some troubles, or it would in my area with the union stepping in. You can't donate your time; you have to be paid for it. But it's a sticky situation. So I definitely applaud you guys for getting
Absolutely.
it done, and I hope that we can find something in the future to make this happen. And that kind of leads me into my next thing is, since you have this enormous wealth of experience with the recruits and the fire service in general, besides funding, because that's an easy one, where would you like to see physical fitness kind of steered towards, just a general avenue, where would you like to see the fitness and the fire service kind of leaning towards in the next decade?
Yeah, one of my big sayings is we have to train for our realities. And so I think we need to take a step back, and every department is different and every department has similarities, and we need to find out what our realities are. One of the big places that I see we don't train anything is we don't do any kind of breath work. The breath work that is done is very yoga based, which I love. I'm a huge proponent of yoga, but it's very much of a deactivation, kind of rest and relaxation type of breath work, which is not always what we need. So I think that's a huge place we need to come in and understand how to manage our air, understand the biodynamics of how the body functions through nasal breathing and mouth breathing, and why one might be better than the other and what situations they might be good at. Because, air management is one of our number one hindering factors to our ability on the fire ground. I've seen guys suck through a bottle, a half hour bottle in 7 minutes, right? And the guy over here that smokes cigarettes sucks through a bottle in 12 minutes, and he gets more work done, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's a place I think we should definitely move towards. I think the overall philosophy of how we train is okay. HITS training and kind of high intensity interval training and high intensity CrossFit style, I think there's some problems with that. What I see is we teach people to push as hard as possible, and the go button is always pressed down. The unfortunate thing that in a tactical situation, if we push that level, a lot of our, tier 2, tier 3, definitely tier 3 movement patterns kind of deteriorate. Our decision making becomes less. Our prefrontal cortex starts to shut down. These are all things from a tactical standpoint that are not good, right? So we need to understand how to train and work out with a heart rate somewhere between 120 maybe the low end to 170 at the high end. And we need to keep that heart rate ideally 140, 150, so we can have those tier 2, some tier 3 movement patterns. We can have better decision making. We can have better visual acuity. We can have better auditory acuity. And these are all things that are huge when it comes to decision making. And decision making on the fire ground, I think, is a far more costly endeavor than how fit you are per se. So I think changing the workouts so that we work out in those zones, and we have people understand that just because you can push this pace harder, it may not be the most beneficial thing on the fire ground. Where else? I think we need to put a lot of time into prehab exercises. What are some things we can do to strengthen our hips, strengthen our back, strengthen our shoulders, strengthen our core? Dead bugs aren't sexy or fun, but they will keep you strong. Side steps, clamshells, strong hips, keep your knees healthy. These are simple things that we need to be built in. And I think finally, the last piece is we need to really take a hard look at the mental, not so much mental performance, but more mental health side, and start to really understand that is a piece of fitness. And I think a lot of our quote unquote out of shape firefighters, there's mental health issues there that are underlying. And if we can address those, we can get people healthier physically and mentally.
That's it, right? That's all. Yeah.
That's all. I haven't thought about this at all.
Man, those are perfect, right? Those are exactly the kind of things that I talk about with my people, with people I talk to about these podcasts and on my social media pages. And it's something that you'll see as we've interacted before. Me and Annette have that Devote December and Spring for Change campaign. We're always talking about how everything's connected, and I think that's an enormous part in what you said about the heart rates and especially knowing when to push and when not to push and be smarter. I think there's about another 6 or 7 hours to be said on that, but we'll keep today short. I want to ask you about something that I don't know your answer on. I know we agree on several other things regarding the tactical athlete moniker. So, what is your opinion? And this is really, really digging into a can of worms. What is your opinion on exercising in firefighting gear?
Ugh.
I hope that's a sigh of I hate it.
It's a tough one. So this is what I'm gonna say. I think 95% of people who exercise in fire gear are doing it for Instagram pictures. which makes me want to vomit.
Yeah.
You know, do I think that there is do I think so? In jiu-jitsu, you train with the gi. I train with the gi. The amount of heat exhaustion that happens there, 100% helps you on the fire ground. So, is there a place to train with heat exhaustion and in your gear? I do, but do I think that deadlifting and cleaning and stuff like that? No, the fire gear should be used when you're actually training fire evolutions.
My man, I'm fist pumping the air right now.
I mean, that's what that's when we use it. It's not like I'm gonna go do a WOD with my fire gear and then put it on Instagram.
Right.
Again, it makes me want to vomit.
Yeah.
There's other ways. If you want to get a sweatsuit on and work with a sweatsuit on, do that. If you want to get your body temperature up on a bike or walking or something like that, go with that. But I think fire gear should be left for training and for the fire ground.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you, and I'm glad too. I figured that was your response. I was fingers and toes crossed that it was, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
And it's something where, not even to mention, about the inherent restrictions our hips and our shoulders already have, and to put a snowsuit on top of that and then do something we're not necessarily going to do in real life, it just drives me absolutely insane. So
100%.
I'm glad that your answer was in line with mine. I knew it was going to be, but I dig it, man. So let's wrap this thing up. I just want, you've been able to be absolutely integral in hundreds of cadets' lives now, and you've already given us your philosophy and what you'd like to see in the fire service. But the three pillars of these tailboard talks are purposeful, practical, and applicable. So, coming from either Coach Quinn or Firefighter Quinn, what's something that you would like to leave the people listening to this with from either one of those two personalities? But how can we wrap this up with your message?
I think for Coach Quinn, just training to reality. Look to see what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're being called to do often, and train to produce that product better. I think that's from Coach Quinn. That would be that, and do fucking prehab exercises. Do all the boring shit that people will skip over. Do all those. Do all the dead bugs, all the planks, all the hip exercises, all the shoulder openers. Do all that shit. From Firefighter Quinn, we always say work smarter, not harder. Keep it moving. But I think at the end of the day, we have to realize that we are firefighters, and our bodies pay the price, and that's what we're paid to do. And at the end of the day, you have to be okay with the fact that you're not gonna get great sleep, and that's not good for your body. Okay, you gotta be okay with the fact that you're gonna be exposed to carcinogens. That's our job. That's the oath we swore. They're kind of, Coach Quinn and Firefighter Quinn might be kind of a little bit of a pose. You want to do everything you can to kind of hedge your bets, but at the end of the day, we're paid to take the hit. We're the fullback. Take the fucking hit. That's what we do.
I love it, man. I love it. And those are two, you're right. They're two somewhat oppositional stances, but absolutely necessary, because you got to go to work. But on the other side, you got to make sure you can keep working for 30 and now 65 years, or however these poor guys with the new pensions got to go. So I agree, man. And thank you so much for this interview. It's great to get a perspective from someone outside of my area. And I think that you really bring a ton of substance and a ton of experience. And I know that, we'll be talking again soon. I'm sure we can riff on the workout and gear thing from time to time.
Oh, I love it. I feel like me and you are kindred spirits when it comes to the workout stuff.
Oh, God, man. So. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. All right, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Easy, man.
And
man.
All right, man. Thank you. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the first ever Tailboard Talk interview. And man, it does not get more meat and potatoes than that. Thank you again to Aaron Quinn. Absolutely phenomenal. Once again, guys, you can find him at live.serve.thrive on Instagram. If you have any questions or comments at all, hit me up on any social media handle at 4th shift fitness. If you want to send me an email, it's 4th shift fit at gmail.com. As always, we're going to keep it purposeful, practical, and applicable, and we'll talk to you soon. Be a 4th shifter.